Hey guys, Kyla at the MJC here, and we are going to do, or I'm going to go over the divorce annulment worksheet, which is part of the Part 2 documents. It is used pretty much no matter how you file, jointly, separately, how you're continuing, stipulated, jointly, contested. So we'll go through that in a minute. But before I do, as always, just a reminder that nothing in this video is intended to be legal advice. It's a video. So I'm not able to analyze your situation and to evaluate what might be best for you going forward. If you have questions about what's in your best interest, you can get brief legal advice for free here in Milwaukee County through the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinics. If you're not located in Milwaukee County, you can contact your clerk of court to find out what resources are available in your situation. All right, so this is the divorce annulment worksheet. If you are getting divorced, you will fill this one out. If you're requesting a legal separation, you don't need to fill it out at this time. It would be filled out if in the future you and your spouse either agree to divorce or if you motion to divorce at least a year after your legal separation is granted. So my legal separation folks can move on to the next video. Those of you who are getting divorced, let's go ahead and go through this form. So for the first section, it's going to be for Party A. There's no actual real clear statement of who Party A is, but we tend to treat Party A as either the petitioner, if you are filing a contested Part 2, or joint petitioner A if you are filing jointly, or if you're doing stipulated, whoever was the petitioner originally. So basically your petitioner or joint petitioner A is who we treat as Party A. So you're going to put in that person's first name. For all of our samples, that has been Jane. You're going to put in their middle name. So Jane has a middle name. It is Susan. We're going to put that in. If you don't have a middle name, you can either leave it blank or you can write none. I know that at least one clerk has told me that they prefer none be written. I think some others like it blank. We usually put none, so if you came to the MJC, we would do it like that, none in all caps. But obviously there's a little variation within that. But since Jane has a middle name, we will put her middle name, and we're going to put her current last name. So those of you who have been following my video series know that Jane has some documents in one name and some in the other, but it sounds like she at least started to change her name to Smith. So she would go ahead and probably put that because that is most likely her current legal name. If you've been following my joint one, I think her name is Doe. I'm sorry that this doesn't line up with all the other videos. I tried my best. But anyway, she will put what her current last name is. And then we're going to put the name that appears on her birth certificate. And so for Jane, that is Doe. We're going to put her date of birth. And she's 1982. The state where she lives. And see how it says country/state? Everyone always thinks that you have to say USA / Wisconsin. That's actually not true. You can just put the state in that line. But if you currently live out of the United States, so if Jane lived in Canada, she would probably spell it right. Canada, yes. So you would put that there. If it's a different country, but we know that Jane lives here in Milwaukee, so that's going to be Wisconsin. And then here, the county where you live, so that's going to be Milwaukee. And then you'll put in your social security number as well. Oh, it doesn't want me to put the dashes, apparently. All right, I got it. So it didn't like me doing it that way. So you'll put in the socials on that line because it apparently wants to autofill the dashes. So we've now learned don't put the dashes. If you don't have a social, so I put in all zeros for Jane's. In reality, you should put your social, but Jane is a fake person, so she doesn't have a real social. But you should put whatever that is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put in your actual social security number. If you don't have one, then we would recommend that you just leave that line blank. You can look up, I think there are actual protocols for what to do if you don't have a social versus this versus that, but we tend to just leave the line blank if you don't have a social security number. All right, so then Party B, this is going to be the respondent or joint petitioner B. For those of you who are filing separately, you do need to fill this out for the other person, even if they're not signing off on everything, because they're going to use this to create the divorce certificate. So that is going to be John Samuel Smith, sometimes we'll get folks, especially those of you filing separately or contested, who will say, I'm not sure about spelling the middle name. Our general rule of thumb is if you're more than 50% sure, we would say go ahead and put it. If you're less than 50% sure, you can leave it blank, but the issue is you're going to have to get that information. So you could try looking at your marriage license, any old photos, do you have old taxes, anything that would have that person's middle name, because you should have access to some things that would have a middle name if they have it. I should note the suffix over here, that's if your spouse is a junior or a senior. So if John Smith is actually John Samuel Smith Jr., that suffix would go there. And then this will be the name on the birth certificate. Do note if the person is a senior, so if you were a senior, then it might not be on his birth certificate. So make sure you don't include it there if it's not on the birth certificate. We're going to put in John's birthday. And he was 1981. Again, state where he lives, county where he lives. His social as well. Again, you should put a real number, but I'm putting just zeros because John and Jane are fake people. I know you've all come to love them, and so it's shocking to hear they're not real, but they are fake people. They're going to put the date that they got married here. And oh my goodness gracious, I haven't made this number up yet, or this date up yet. So let's say they got married in, we'll say they got married in 01 of 2000. And you're going to put the state where you got married, unless, again, if you got married outside of the United States, then you'll put the country where you got married. And it obviously doesn't have to be Wisconsin. I keep putting that just because for most people it will be, but if you got married in Vegas, it could be Nevada. Can be just wherever you got married. If you got married in Illinois, what have you. We won't know the date of decree, so you can leave that blank, but we will know the type of decree. If you're watching these videos, you're going to be checking divorce. They will put in your case number, that case number that you all are all getting very familiar with at this point. And the county of decree, for those of you who are in Milwaukee County, that's going to be Milwaukee. For those of you who are in any other county, it's going to be the county where you filed. So basically the county that's going to divorce you is going to be the county where you filed. So you'll put the name of that county. And then that is that form. All right. Well, thank you all for watching this video. I hope that you found it helpful. If you still have questions about filling out the form or about anything in your Part 2, you can come on down to the Milwaukee Justice Center. We can point you guys in the right direction. We are located in room G9 of the Milwaukee County Courthouse. So I will be back shortly with the rest of the videos for this divorce Part 2. But until then, thank you guys for watching, and I hope that you all go out and represent yourselves well.